Hello, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon Live. Because you don't know how it's going to turn out.
My kids empowered me to get out.
Just remote learning and in the midst of COVID.
Working for different elected officials, learning and understanding how to put the community first.
Hi, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon. Tonight we're doing hot topics. We got some juicy hot topics for you tonight, right, ladies? How y'all doing?
Yes, hi.
That's Dr. Vanessa and that's Miss Tiffany over there. How y'all both doing tonight?
Good.
We got some juicy hot topics to talk about tonight. I'm sure we all can relate. So, but we have someone who's also coming on to help co-host and join us in the hot topics tonight, Miss Valerie Montu. She's a therapist. So we want to welcome her to the show. Hello there, Miss Valerie.
Hello, how are you?
How you doing?
I'm good.
Well, you know, we got some juicy hot topics tonight, so I'm sure you can relate to them as well. But we're hoping you're not like one of these on the video. But we're gonna our first hot topic is love without respect. But we want you to take a look at the video first before we start commenting.
You are being a doormat. I'm letting you know. I'm looking you in the face because you brought this case here.
It's been 5 years.
It's been 5 years. You're not losing the whole 5 years. You're gaining the next 5 years. You are gaining the
But
next
I want to
5
have them with him. I want to have the 5 years with him. I don't want to start all over again. That's too much.
Right.
It's too much. And you know what? Right what? You agree?
Yes, I want to be with you, but...
Then you know what? No, you know what? Or you either marry me or you reimburse me. It's that simple. I have the ring already. All you got to do is get on your knees and propose.
Your Honor, she is not going to rob me of my manhood and demand that I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to get a ring. I'm going to propose to her when the time is right.
Take this one.
I have not even got...
Now look, I know you can be in love. I know you can have dated someone for... I mean, she has a point. She's been going with him for 5 years and everything, you know. So, like, when is this thing going to happen? But are you that desperate that you would go out and buy the ring yourself and just give him the ultimatum to say, either you marry me now or you reimburse me for the ring?
That's interesting, right?
I mean, I get that she's waited 5 years, but one thing that I don't get, and what I never do, I'm not going to beg a man to marry me. Now that's where there's a deep-rooted issue there with her, is the way she's just crying and begging him. You can move on, just move on. 5 years, then you'll be there for another 5 years.
I agree with you.
She said she don't want to start over again with someone else.
Listen, first of all, she should have never brought it to that forum, right? You don't publicize those things at the magnitude, right? That should have been a discussion that they have talked about. She worried about 5 years. Listen, she may want him to marry him today, and the next 5 years is the worst 5 years of her life. Then she's still gonna have to start over. So you gotta be careful what you ask for, what you're begging for.
That's true. Right. And I think that should have been something that they really discussed and solidified in the beginning. A lot of times, if you're together or you live together, people get lax. They forget about it, right? And then it's not a pressure. But then when we're looking at our time clock, then all of a sudden, oh, no, I got to do it right now. I got to get this done right now. And they don't think about that. But another thing is, a lot of times you can emasculate a man by saying, I'm going to get the ring and you can get down on your knee to propose. The purpose is the man is supposed to do that and he chooses you to be his wife. Mm-hmm. So you take a part of him away when you take that from him, the ability to get on his knees. But it doesn't sound like there was a definite plan. And I think there was probably some other things that we don't see that occurred that made him like, okay, I'm gonna pump the brakes on this.
Exactly. It's either her way or the highway, right? But the thing I want to add to that, Valerie, is that do you always need a ring to propose? I mean, what about the commodity, the love, the connection, the company? I mean, like what does the ring signify? It doesn't replace the love.
No,
well, I think it's because it's more because that's the tradition of things. So we'll in the traditional era that you want the man to propose to you Because it does mean something when the man proposes to you and asks you to become his wife and stuff. It does mean something.
And it shows that he's invested. I'm invested. I'm putting something into this. You know, that's how I feel with it.
Right, but women propose in these days also. Women propose too.
But why you gotta propose?
I mean, if you want to propose, I mean, I really don't see nothing wrong with the woman proposing. But I don't know, for some reason, I just feel like if that man really truly loves you and you've been going together, you have a relationship with each other, then why do you need to propose to him? Because if he really cares about you and he feels that you are the material for his wife and everything, and then I don't understand too, why do you have to be going with someone 5, 6, and 7, and 10 years before you decide you want to get married to them? Because a lot of times you do that and then they end up you breaking up with them, and then the next year they married to somebody else.
Right, but did they just have this conversation before? And then for her to ask for a refund if he doesn't propose, I think that's preposterous.
It seemed like they had a conversation. It seemed like they had a conversation. He's just stalling. For some reason, he's stalling on getting married. And I believe he said something about there's some things that now it was changing. He was recognizing about her. Well, I mean, it took you 5 years to recognize that, you know, maybe she wasn't the one, or you didn't like her the way she, you know, move around and do things and stuff like that. So, you know, I think it's just him trying to find something, not to marry her.
Valerie, do you think she needs therapy?
Well, I think they both need therapy. Personally, I just think that we got to look at two things. We're talking about a proposal, and then we're talking about a ring. A ring is really for everybody to see. Oh, I'm taking now, right? We show that off. That show, and the bigger the ring, the more investment, right? That's how somebody sees it, as well as the wealth of the individual. And then you have her wanting the actual proposal. She's like, oh, I want him to get down on one knee. I want him to do this. But she's also telling him what to do, right? She's telling him this is how I want you to do it. That he's now, once again, he's emasculated. That's why he's saying, oh, I'm starting to see things. When someone starts seeing things, and that means they're starting to see things they didn't notice before. It wasn't present before. So now he sees these things. And, you know, also another thing is she's paying all the bills, right? So now he gets to look at her in a different light, because when you decide to be with someone, it's best to see them when they're angry, when they don't have any money, they have a loss, and when they're happy and when they're sad, and like when they're frustrated. Because when you get to see somebody in all those different moods, you really get to see, the individual. Right now, we don't know what it was like. It could have been, oh, everything is perfect. Oh, I love you. It's fine. You know.
Yeah, but you know what, Valerie? Now in the tape, she said, remember the part where he was saying about he wanted to meet her girls and the family, and she didn't want him to meet the girls in the family, because if you have children, and particularly if they're grown kids, you would want that man to meet your children. Now, she didn't want the daughter to come, and then for him to wanted him to sleep on the couch so the daughter wouldn't see them in the same room. Like, what? I mean, like he said, what is the big deal? The daughter knows if he's staying there in the house with them that they're sleeping together or whatever. So I didn't understand that part with her. Is why are you trying to hide that part when the child is grown? She know what sleeping with a man is already. She know the man is in the house with her mother and stuff. So just to come in and see him on the couch doesn't mean anything. So I was like kind of disturbed with her even coming across with that kind of stuff.
But you know, the thing is, it looked like she's buying a man, like she's buying him, right? How do you be with someone for 5 years and haven't met their family?
Well, like, that's what he's saying. Yeah, that's what he was saying. How come you don't want me to meet your family?
Exactly. Right. I think it's something wrong. She may have some issues with cases. That's what I'm seeing. And out of this situation, by him going public, I wouldn't marry her. I wouldn't marry. I think it's too many hidden things that he doesn't know. Some things that she's either covering up and she's buying him.
Right. And then also remember, I'm sorry, but also remember, when you bring someone around your family, remember your family will open their mouth and tell you the dark secrets that nobody else is going to tell you about. Exactly. So they'll tell you, oh, was she, she was on drugs, she was this, she was that, the things she may have left out about her life. And I know if you see the whole entire clip, she left a big part about a part of her life out, right?
Yeah.
And that made that
She left out
Well,
that.
can love really make you that crazy?
Well, it's not even so much love as it is the idea that somebody wants you. Because with women, there's always this time clock. Oh, you have to have a baby by this age. Well, you have to be married by this age. You have to have a baby by this age, and you have to do this. Women are always set on this time clock. There's this biological time clock, and I think it's a societal time clock that we have to do. If we don't do these things by that time, then you're old hag. You're this. You're that. You're this. You're that. Which is definitely changing. I mean, you see a lot of
I can understand you trying to have the kids a little bit earlier, but not like early in them 20s and stuff like that. I think you still should wait a little later. I think you need to enjoy life a little bit and, do something first, because once those kids come, forget it. But I wouldn't want to wait too long in life to be having kids, because then you're not going to have the energy to play ball with them or throw the ball. Look, if I wait till I get 50 to be having one, I can't even lift my arm to throw a ball or whatever.
No, but you might can't have them. You wait too long and you might can't have them. The doctor will tell you, like, at a certain point, when are you going to have kids? You need to start working on it. And I think that's where, as women, we get stuck like, okay, now I got to get married. I got to get married. If you want to have, be married before you have kids, if that's a big thing.
But you want to wait for the right time. It's not. I don't think it's just about jumping out the frying pan to the fire. Because you want to be financially set. You want to have the conversation. You dated someone. Talk about those issues. Talk about finances. How was he this long in a relationship with no money? Who's paying the bills? I mean, he's talking about his manhood.
Well, he said he was paying bills. He said he helped pay bills.
Okay, so
he just made more money than him. So that was
fine. But the conversation and stuff that's needed, need to be had before the court date. And I think they're not really being transparent enough to have these conversations if something's missing.
Right, but he's also 34, and I think he's 35, 34, and she's 43. And then as far as biological clock, that's also like depending on if you talk about the holistic approach, everything depends on how well we take care of our bodies. In this world, the food, everything corrupts the body. There are women that have kids much later, 50, 60, in different countries because of how they live or how they exercise. So, when you talk about modern medicine, that's a whole nother story. We get into another topic, but I'm just saying everything is in its own time. And if you plan it out, if it's meant for it be, it's going to be. There's nothing you can do about that. But I think there's also that age gap, right? He's 34. He may not make as much as her, right?
But that's okay. What's wrong with that? Because he doesn't make as much as her.
Right. It's not about the money.
I'm saying that he may not be able to contribute and be as financially, like, that's why she's paying.
But it's not about the money. It's much more than a relationship than just about the money. That's why those discussions need to be had before this point.
I agree with you 100%.
Well, no, you should have a discussion before you get married about how you're going to do with the finance and stuff like that. But just because the other person makes more money than the other person, I don't think that should really be an issue, because you can combine what little money you have together and really do something great. You don't have to wait till the other person making the same amount of money you do.
No, you don't have to wait. I agree with that. You don't.
Oh, well, anyway. Don't get too desperate for a man that you got to go to court and cry and carry on in court or whatever. So we'll be right back.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
Hi, we're back. We're doing our hot topics today. And we have Miss Valerie Montu joining us, who's a therapist on our hot topics. You know, she'll have to help analyze what's going on. But I was looking at a piece with Terrence Howard talking about don't give away your man card, and it made me started thinking about people that's in the industry. And I don't even think you have to be in the industry. You could be on the job, and you might want to move up on the job to a higher position. And the only way you feel you can do it is if you're on the work, then that means you're gonna sleep with the boss. If you're in the industry, then you're gonna do some other things in the industry. So he was talking about P Diddy about he invited him over to his house, and he wanted him to talk about music, do the music and everything. He come, and it wasn't about the music, and it was about something else. He come, and finally he said his assistant said, well, P Diddy wanted him to, you know, sleep with him or whatever, and he never went back. So he started talking about his keeping your man card. Let's just take a look at what he was saying.
Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in and make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you like, or looking at you like you're a woman. You know, when you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing, and have lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that because the man card means everything.
I had no idea we're going to go this direction with the.
Well, I mean, this is what's going on now in the industry and the world. Like I said, it happens on the job as well. You feel if you want to climb the career ladder, you go do some extra stuff. Like, I mean, how do you feel about this? Do you think it's okay if you need to, you know, do some extra things, or it's like he said, keep your man card?
I think that's a preference, and that's an individual preference. But I'm always saying sometimes, rather as an industry on a job, is not always who you know, is who you blow. So sometimes that's just the nature of the beast, and that's how some people move. And sometimes, you know, people may think it's not a big deal. But like I said, it's people's personal. If you do stuff on the job, maybe nobody know about it. But if you play in a role in the industry, everybody gonna know about it. So then how does that look? How does that look for you moving forward and opening doors for others? Is it really worth it? I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, I think it. Once again, you're right. I agree with you. It depends on it's the individual and what you're willing to do for your dream, right? Because if you decide to walk down that road, you have to live with that decision, especially if it's industry wide, because they will expect you to go wide, right? If you do it once, you're going to do it twice. If you do it twice, you're going to do it 3 times, 6 times, and so forth and so on. So that's an individual, and then they have to live with that decision. You know, some people cannot live with that decision. We had the whole Me Too movement, right? Where all these women came out years later talking about this is what happened to me. Because a lot of times you can't live with yourself. That's why you see a lot of these very, like the Caucasian actresses, they are in these big movies. We hear about them. They're making all these millions. And then all of a sudden, we don't see them anymore. They just stop. So maybe it's the guilt, right? Because they have to keep doing it over and over again. And especially with men, that's a very hard thing.
But do you think the man, seriously now, do you think the man can make you do something you don't want to do?
Once again, it's a desire. Like if you say, I gotta be a celebrity, I gotta be this star no matter what, then you're gonna do what no matter what, right? If in that may, and it's also what you're willing to sacrifice. Some people will be like, nah, that's okay. I'm not gonna do that. I'll just be poor, or I'll find another way. And it'll take harder. It'll take a longer road to achieve that goal. But that has to be an individual choice. But
sometimes they get blackballed.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
They could be blackballed as well when they become they get blackballed.
right? You could be blackballed, or you could never, you once again, you may never recover from that because, like I said, one person hears that you do it, and especially if you start on the lower level, you know how at a job you get the entry level, and you start at the entry level producer or whoever, you will have to do it for every producer. They'll always expect.
That sounds still kind of, if you actually take time to really think about it, right? So just like he was saying, okay, just like you were saying too, Val, okay, you might think that you have to do it, to really expand your career. And Vanessa, you were saying, oh, you might get blackballed or something. But like, what about the other actresses and actors? They don't play those kind of roles, and they famous and stuff. So I don't think it has to be that you have to do it to be successful. Just like with Denzel, he don't play those kind of movies, but he's very successful. Samuel Jackson don't play those kind of movies.
But that's also back to preference. It goes back to preference, and some people want to be the fame. They feed off of that, and they will go through any measures that it takes to get there.
Absolutely, it's
like that's instant fame.
Right. Well, that industry is a whole society. It's a whole different thing where they can pick and choose who they want here and there. So we talk about Denzel Washington. He can stand firm in Samuel Jackson, but they have other characteristics and other
traits.
Traits and stuff.
Like how they branded themselves.
They brand themselves, right? So other people can pick them up. It's not like they're just up and coming. And then what happens when you open that back door, right? Because that's a back door, right? And you start having family. You start having a family, and your kids start now seeing a different side of different things, and things become media, focus, and things go viral. Like how do you recover from that?
Right.
Never can recover.
But it's also like, if that's something that's industry wide, don't think that certain people didn't have to do certain things. It depends on which position you play. Either you the catcher or you the giver. You're the receiver. So we don't know what anyone had to do, and it's also limits, and it's also your quality of work. It's also your star power, how you look, because I'm sure there's quite a few celebrities, performers that have done these things, and they've made that sacrifice, but they didn't get that far. Maybe they didn't have the talent, they didn't have the look. All these things play a role into it.
Right.
Because if we look at Terrence Howard, he has that attractive look. He's light skinned. He has the light eyes. It's an allure thing. So it depends on who the actor is that we're talking about, right? Even
I mean, for instance, just like our audience person just asked the question about Harvey Weinstein. Now he made all of them famous, and they didn't say anything at the time that he was making them famous. But now that someone accused him, now everybody wants to come out and say this is what he was doing. But the problem is, what was you doing in his apartment? That's the first thing, is why you in this person's apartment if you're not there for a reason. Nobody goes to a man's house just to visit. Sometimes you go to visit, and sometimes you don't go to visit. So did everybody just go there, to visit? Because all of a sudden now he made you famous, but now you're talking about him. You didn't say nothing about him before.
Well, I mean, once again, we don't know. Like, even when they bring up Diddy, some people saying they were drugged. So if there's drugs, like, it's an industry-wide thing. And sometimes it's an understood things. It may not be said, but it is understood, because that's a whole different realm and world that most of us haven't been exposed to, only because of these current events, right? Because prior to this, when they talk about freak-off parties, they used to be called back in the day swing parties. Right. So all these different names and places and stuff like that. So it's if you go to so-and-so's house, it's understood. Right. Harvey Weinstein, he was very big. He was a very powerful, as a producer. He was extremely powerful. He had all this clout. So if you knew you were going to his house, you knew that may have been what you had to sacrifice. Right.
But then why are you going? This is the part I could never understand with him. The women that accuse him, Why? First of all, why are you in his apartment anyway? You have an agent. If you're trying to get into a movie or whatever, your agent is supposed to be working to get you into that movie or whatever it is you're trying to do. Why are you there in the apartment trying to get in the movie?
Yeah,
He
but
requested them. I'm sure he requested them to come to the house, and of being who he is, you trying to get into his film, you're going to show up.
Right.
Exactly. You're going to show up.
Yeah.
Right.
And especially a lot of these roles may be competitive, right? So if you got an invitation to come in, you got advantage. So it's when maybe when you get there, you realize, okay, you got to do this to get that and here and there, and that may be something you didn't expect. But then that's also the decision you have to make at that time while you're there.
Right. And then it's also like most of those, like I think something Judd, like she was in major roles. So obviously if you go to Harvey Weinstein, you're gonna get in a major role. You're not gonna get like $500,000. You're gonna get like $10 million for this role. What she had to sacrifice, what she had to do, that's what she did to get those major roles. And that's why
I say that you need to think twice. You need to really think about it and think twice. When you start out on your career, whether it's on your job, in the industry, or whatever, what is it that you're willing to sacrifice? That's what I say. But before the time run out, we have to close out. I do have something I'm excited about my good news, and I do have to thank Brick Arts Media. I have been chosen as one of the honorees to receive the Legend Award on April 26th. It will be televised, so I will let everybody know that they can watch on April 26th. It starts at 5:30. So I want to thank Brick for choosing me as one of their honorees. I have been a long-time producer there, and that's why I was chosen to get the award. So I want to thank you, Brick. Thank you. And I want to thank my audience that has been with me for 27 years doing the show. And I thank everybody that has come on, the guests, everybody that has come on and co-host, for keeping us alive here for 27 years. I want to thank you. So I'll give you more information when it gets closer to do it. So thank you. So I want to thank y'all for joining us tonight. And I'm a co-host, and Valerie, thank you again. And hope you'll come again. And I need y'all to stay out of trouble. Don't be messing with these men. Don't worry about moving up the career ladder. You don't have to do those kind of things. And please, do not be crying for a ring. If they don't want to give you the ring, then later for the ring. You don't need no ring, okay? Remember that. So thank you for joining us tonight. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Today's show is sponsored by Abu's Bakery. If you have a sweet tooth, stop by Abu's Bakery for some delicious cakes and pies.
Would you like beautiful pictures for your home or your office? Then stop by Faith Art Gallery. They have a large selection of pictures from around the world.
It's Shanna.